Hello and welcome to FYR, or For Your Reconsideration, as it's otherwise known. The film podcast that searches high and low for potentially great films in the lost backstage areas of cinema. Oh look, here's a dressing room. Let's check in here. Will it be a lost movie treasure, or just getting his by
Oh, heavily edited, that I assume is going to be.
Oh, mate, how are you? You okay?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Excellent, excellent. It's just you and me again tonight. Our brother Simon is busy man at the moment. But so we're flying missing man formation, but we send him all our love. So what have you been watching, James?
Oh, all sorts. I've been absolutely swilling in the weeks that we've been off.
Excellent.
So we're sort of recording this towards the end of November. And the last month or so has been absolutely aces on the big screen. So, I saw Killers of the Flower Moon and The Killer. They're both ace. Watched them. There's nothing else really to be said about those films. I feel like they've been discoursed to death. If you like those directors, you'll like those movies. That's all I can really say, to be honest. But I wanted to touch on a couple that maybe won't get the same plaudits, but have had good critical receptions, and two that I was very impressed with. So the first one I wanted to start with was Anatomy of a Fall. So have you heard of this film, Rob?
I have, but please continue.
Yes, so me and Mrs. S, we had a night off from our young little apple of our eye. He went over for a sleepover at his grandma's, so we thought, what should we do? We've got the night off. Let's go and watch a 2.5-hour French courtroom drama on the big screen. So we did, and that film was Anatomy of the Fall, which lures the audience in with the prospect of a tantalising true crime adjacent setup before evolving into something more incisive and emotionally raw as the disintegration of a marriage is laid bare for judgment in what turns out to be a free-for-all French court. French court is mad, by the way, just a quick sidebar on that.
Really?
Back and forth between the solicitors, just having a bit of a debate in the middle of... People could just come in and just throw up their own spurious conspiracies and what they think without any evidence or being checked by the judge. Absolutely mad. It looks like a right laugh, to be fair. Not if you're on trial. But yeah, everybody seems to be having a lovely old time apart from the defendant.
Excellent.
So anyway, Sandra Hüller, who I believe that's how you pronounce that, she's a German actress. She delivers a towering performance as a woman in the midst of a media circus attempting to prove her innocence and hold it together, not just for herself, but for her son. And bear in mind, she's not a native French speaker, so it's even more high stakes, the courtroom scenes for her, because she can only really communicate with people who also speak English. So yeah, it's very tricky for her. The ambiguity of the film may frustrate those in search of concrete answers. However, much like the dysfunctional marriage at the heart of the film, things are not always cut and dry. It's a powerful and prestigious courtroom drama in which the instrumental from 50 Cent's PIMP has a surprisingly large role to play. And I do wonder if Curtis has seen it yet.
Whoa, that was not what I was expecting to
Nor
make a
was
guest
I
appearance.
when the huge instrumental was like a key plot point, essentially.
What? This is amazing. I do love, hip hop instrumentals and other takes on hip hop music. I listened to quite a bit Beadle the Bard on. Is it Beadle the Bard? No, I'm not sure it's Beadle the Bard.
Beadle
What's
about?
it called? Beatles are not Beatles about. Anyway, this person does whoever it is does medieval versions of famous hip hop songs.
Oh, incredible!
Which is so ace, by the way. If you've not heard Still Dre on a harpsichord, then
is that like when you go to a wedding reception and they have hip hop in like classical instruments? While you're having the wedding.
It must be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except medieval, which is an even weirder combination. Very, very cool. I'd love to see that. Anything else?
Yes, I do want to shout this out. So you may be aware, Rob, or maybe you're not. We've had a new Nicolas Cage picture drop in the last week, and I wouldn't be me if I hadn't gone to see it on the big screen while it was playing for the 1 week that it was out. So the film is called Dream Scenario, which is an inventive and razor-sharp Kafka-esque satire that skillfully skewers the nature of self-obsession, modern celebrity, advertising, cultural movements, and public shaming. Cage is pitch perfect, delivering an egoless turn as a regular Joe who unwittingly becomes the most famous person on Earth. It's a perfect vehicle for the Nickster, with the film playing into everything that Cage is strongest at as a performer, and also giving him the opportunity to sort of play a relatable, everyday sort of average Joe. The film itself loses its footing slightly in the final act when it full bores into influencer culture. However, this takes little away from a film that is excruciatingly funny and fairly savage takedown of the strange times in which we live. The writer and director, who is a Norwegian bloke called Christopher Borgli, which I'm sure I've just completely butchered, is definitely a talent to keep an eye on. Also, one of the most uncomfortable non-sex scenes I have ever seen in my life. But yeah, it's very much in the Cage register of adaptation. Do you remember when he made Adaptation, where he played the two versions of Charlie Kaufman? It's sort of in that kind of arena. And he's very good. He's put a big paunch on. He's got a bald cap and a cul-de-sac haircut and a big beard. And yeah, he's really leaned into it. Very good movie. I enjoyed it.
I'd absolutely love to see this, actually. He is coming up with some seriously good stuff at the minute, I think.
But he's back in now, like, because he's not having to make quite as much as he was a few years ago. Now he can shoot. Although, having said that, I saw Renfield earlier this year, and that was one of the worst films I've seen all year. Not because of him, just because it was a bad movie. But yeah, I think he is allowing himself to be a little bit more selective now. And this is distributed by A24, who also have a good keen eye and work with good emerging talent as well. So yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought he was very good.
Wicked. Absolutely wicked. Some really good shouts there, James. Being added to my watch list that inevitably will never get watched. But the Cage one, I definitely want to try and catch that. Do you have any others?
No, that is it for now.
Excellent.
For now, yeah, but yeah, obviously The Killer is obviously on Netflix as we speak, and Killers of the Flower Moon will be on Apple at some point before the end of the year, I believe.
Yes. I'd love to see both of them, but I just can't get especially Killers of the Flower Moon. I can't get out to the movies for that length of time. But I have been watching all sorts myself, so I've been ploughing on with Yellowstone. I don't think anyone in the world probably says it more northern, I think. Yellowstone. And I'm about halfway through season 2, and goodness gracious me, it's really kicked off.
Yes.
And it was one of those moments where last night I was like, I really should go to bed, but I have to see another. So it's really got its hooks into me, which is brilliant. I've been wanting to watch it for absolutely ages. The Netflix, I don't know whether it's a Netflix original. Do you call it that? It's a Netflix film. Troll, or as I couldn't stop saying after the trailer, Troll. Have you seen this, James?
No, I haven't. It is on my watch list. It's been there forever, to be honest.
I've got to be honest. I flipping loved it. I mean, obviously, I'm, big creature stuff.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for that. But I thought the effects were outstanding. I really love the fact that it's like fully a Norwegian movie. So Norwegian director as well in Roar Uthaug. And Norwegian star in Ine Marie Wilman, who I really hope I've not done disservices to both of those people with those pronunciations.
Wow, big shout out for the Norwegians on this pod.
Yeah, it was wicked. Really, really good and super exciting. And the scale and excitement of it, and a whole new myth for like a more sort of like Western Europe audience to sort of chew on, was really good. Really, really liked it. And I think, if the public, I don't know really where it sits in terms of revenue or whether it could qualify for us, but I think we'd all get a kick out of this watching it on here. So I might bring that back. So that's a big recommendation from me. Obviously, something new has been released in the world of James Bond. And I tried to convince myself to watch it because being part of the Really 007 podcast, one of our sister podcasts, it's something I should do, is to be at the forefront of this. And so I switched on Prime, ready to dig in, and then there was the Road to a Million poster. It's called Road to a Million. This is what they've done instead of...
It's so lazy.
This is what they've done instead of actually making a James Bond film, which is... I don't even know where to begin. But anyway, I'll save the bile for something else. So I look at the poster, I'm like, am I really going to press on this? And then the poster next to it was for the Nick Cage film Butcher's Crossing.
Oh, right.
And it was like, well, I'm not doing... forget that. I'm putting on this Cage movie. And the cover of it was like Cage with... Again, he's gone full. He's got full shaven head. He's got a chromed out head. And it looked like a chromed out jacket as well in a full Western. It was... Right, I'm watching that. And I thought it was excellent, to be honest.
Oh, it's on my list. I can't wait. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was totally excellent. Directed by Gabe Polsky. Cage, this is like... If you like Cage and you like the lengths he goes to, if I could just say that he plays a totally obsessed hunter/trapper in sort of the prairies of bygone America, hunting for that, that mythical massive herd of bison, and it all goes wrong and he goes mad. Like, sign me up immediately. I thought it was really well made.
The hunt for Bigfoot adjacent. Like, no,
it is, really... yeah. But see, Cage was so it was great. It was absolutely great, and I loved it. And I also wanted to shout out as well, Fred Heckinger was in this as well, as sort of like an understudy kind of character, and he was excellent in this as well. Must have been quite a shoot, this, because there are some very, very severe wintry scenes that look jolly cold. But it's great, and you never quite know what's going to happen next. And I enjoyed it a great, great deal. So I would recommend that too.
Fantastic!
Yeah,
what a great time to be at the movies, because as well, you've got a new Ridley Scott coming out today as we talk, and Ridley has been on his usual scorched earth. Like, have you seen some of the quotes that have come out?
Yes, I have. I must admit I have, yes.
Yeah. Well, basically, he's going to historians. Well, you weren't there, so why don't you shut the fuck up, right? That was one of my favourites. It's like, I'm not sure that works with historians. That's sort of what they do, is try and piece the past together. And then he said how people in France had been criticising Napoleon, and this is probably the funniest thing he's ever said. It's like, the French don't even like themselves. So he's like still a virtuosic filmmaker who can be given like $200 million to make a Napoleonic epic, but then he still rants like your mad uncle on Facebook as well at the same time.
Yes. I love that, like, the marketing and PR team, like, so the new Ridley Scott's coming out. Are we going to do press junkets for this one? Or should we just move gracefully on to the actual movie coming out? I do love it. I love the effort he goes to. But like, there is absolutely no reason in the world at this point he needs to be making an immense Napoleon biopic.
Oh no, he's halfway through shooting Gladiator 2 as well as we speak.
Is he?
He said he's cut half of it together.
Who's in Gladiator 2?
Paul Mescal is in Gladiator 2, who is an upcoming Irish actor. Denzel Washington, I believe, is in Gladiator 2. Yes. What? I don't know who he's playing. Obviously no Russell Crowe, unfortunately.
Sadly, although I had forgotten what happened in Gladiator, and I nearly asked whether he was returning.
Well, the thing was, if Maximus was back, he's like, "Oh, Ridley, I've had a really good idea about Maximus's evolution over the years." It's like, okay, all right, Russ, yeah, go for it. It's like, what if, and just stay with me here, what if he'd just eaten a load of food? Sorry, what do you mean? Like, he just got really fat. That is Russell Crowe's take on every single character that he plays now. So, you're the Pope's exorcist. Yeah, I love the character. It's really good. He does exorcisms on behalf of the Pope. But what if?
James, this accent's incredible.
What if he'd just eaten a load of food? Well, anything is specific? No, just everything. He's into seafood. He seafoods and he fucking eats it.
Oh, love it.
So yeah, I'm sad that Max. I mean, if you know the ending of Gladiator, it isn't possible for Maximus to come back.
Well, no.
But it would have been nice to see big fat Maximus back in the chainmail.
Oh, outstanding. Sadly, there was one more thing that I wanted to bring up.
Oh, sorry, I interrupted.
No, I say
diatribe.
sadly because it's... No, I would much rather have stayed in Fat Maximus world, to be honest. Because I'll have... To discuss this one, I'll have to take us to Bigfoot Corner.
Bigfoot Corner.
So... Expedition Bigfoot finished
right.
a couple of weeks ago, and it was a curtailed series of 8 episodes. And I think, James, you would have cried laughing at the end episode, because I didn't know it was the end episode, and it was just going along. They were following a creature, following this creature. Fabulous stuff going on. Scenery was insane. They went onto a glacier to look for it, and it was all edited like it was all heating up. Like, oh yeah, look, oh there's something over there. Bum, bum, bum. They run over there, and they go, oh yeah, these could be footprints. Blah, blah, blah. They go, do you know what we need? We need a helicopter, and a helicopter, comes down and takes them off to go flying around the glacier. And I'm thinking, whoa, the budget's gone. This is amazing. They're definitely going to find it now. And they flew around, and they just, it just had lots and lots of, shots of them looking out the window and a bit of scenery. And then the tone started to change, and there was a somberness. And then it was unfortunately this time they didn't find him. And they all, the helicopter landed, they all packed their bags and went home. I like that. What? Wait, what? Honestly, I
get back
I
in the
couldn't
woods.
fathom it.
You've got unfinished business here. Get back out there and find that Sasquatch.
And worse than that, it went out with such a whimper. There was this, we found so much evidence that will really change the way science around Bigfoot. Have you? When? Where? I don't remember any of this. And then it just ended. And then, at the end of the season before, it had come up with, Expedition Bigfoot will return. Well, there's none of that here. I think it's over.
I think it's been cancelled, Rob.
I think it's been cancelled. I think the helicopter, they blew the budget on the helicopter trying to fly over a glacier to find this thing. And they never did. And just came home, and that's it. Sorry, lads, we don't even have enough for sandwiches now. We just got to get in the vans and go home.
But we do have applications for you all to start working in the Amazon processing centre just down
So it's, and to be honest, I was so distraught by the ending of this.
Oh, the amount of time you've put into this, almost as much as the people who made the programme, Rob, because let's be honest, you're the only person in the UK watching it.
So yeah, it's with a total whimper, I'm afraid, that we back out to the main road, having spent... Well, not even any time at all, really, in Bigfoot Corner.
Oh.
Bigfoot Corner.
I think, James, you can tell I'm rather put out.
Yeah, I can see. I hope you're all right. We have a laugh. We have a laugh, but I feel genuinely sad for you that the flag bearers of the hunt for Bigfoot have seemingly slung it in.
I mean, it does look that way. I've looked everywhere for another series, whether it will come out. But you know what? After that way that one finished, I don't even know whether I'll bother.
Oh no, this isn't
This
the
could
Rob
be the
I
end.
know. Oh dear.
This isn't the Rob you know. This could be it, mate. This could be it. But there was another fabulous woodland-based movie that I watched very, very recently, and I believe it's to do with your choice tonight, James.
Yes, yeah. We'll find we're going to spend some time with a good hunter in the woods here. Yeah, this guy's not pissing around. Should we do a log line?
Yes, please.
Okay, so 2 haunted veterans with terrible taste in moccasins venture into the woods and, spoilers, attempt to shiv the living crap out of one another. The film is, of course, William Friedkin's brutal, stripped-back thriller, The Hunted.
I will teach you how to kill. Quickly, accurately, efficiently. The physical part will be easy. The difficult part is learning how to turn it off.
The 2 men were found half-mile from here. They were killed with a hatchet in a ritualistic fashion.
He didn't use a hatchet, he used a knife.
At this point, we're not sure how many killers there were.
Just one?
Well, you're saying that one guy with a knife killed those 2 hunters?
Yeah. His name is Aaron Hallam, Sergeant First Class.
What's your relationship to Hallam?
I trained him. Trained him to survive. I trained him to kill. Most of the people he killed never knew he was in the same room with them.
Hallam's battle stress has become so deep it is a part of his personality. And it's impossible to reverse.
I made him what he is, and I can stop him.
4 Bravo 6. I'm at the girlfriend's residence.
You're looking for a man named Aaron Hallam?
Miss Kravitz, is he still here?
What has Aaron done?
You gotta leave here. You're in danger.
Why am I in danger?
They'll come here and burn this house down.
Get on the floor, now!
If you cross this line, you better be ready to kill me.
Release him, Aaron! Release him now!
Command post, this is number 2. We have an agent down. Sector red. Sector red.
You better decide now what's an acceptable body count. That's what you're gonna get if you let these guys declare war on my boy. Remember me?
So, I mean, whoo-wee, The Hunted. James, what made you decide to bring this to this parish?
So we have covered Friedkin before. We did Sorcerer way back when, which is one of my favourite films of all time. I love Friedkin, and unfortunately he passed away earlier this year. And I believe this to be one of his most cruelly underrated works. I was aware of its lacklustre performance and reception, so I thought it was only right that we honour the great man by bringing one of his less loved films to FYR.
Outstanding, outstanding. So when was the first time you saw it?
I can't really remember where I saw it, to be honest with you, Rob. It was either a rental or late night on TV sometime after its initial release. Because as I say, I was really aware of the fact that everyone thought it was a bit of a stinker, so I never sought it out. And then when I watched it, I was like, this is fucking unreal. This is really, really good.
Yeah.
Like, properly brutal. You've got 2 great actors in the lead roles here. They've clearly put the work in to make it as authentic as possible. And I just thought, from the first time I've seen it, this is probably the 3rd time that I've seen this film. And I just thought, wow, this is just a real mean and nasty and well put together 90-minute thriller. The sort of film that I'm always crying out for.
Yes. I mean, just amen mania, brother. Having seen it, so this was a first watch for me. This one, and I love it. I'm learning so much and enjoying so much new stuff doing this. That I was aware of it, of course, because you don't often get like it. You can't slide under the radar that too much. What was it, 2003?
Yeah.
That when you say it's Del Toro and Tommy Lee Jones, like, poof,
yeah,
poof. You know, that's two big names, settling in there, going obviously on, in the marketing toe to toe. So it was always on my list to watch, just out of a fascination point. I had no idea it was a Friedkin movie though, until much later.
It apart. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think if you looked at those two stars on the front, you'd be like, oh, maybe it's one of those direct to DVD sort of knockoff action films where two guys have just taken a bit of a payday. John Cusack makes loads of these, and Samuel L. Jackson, and John Travolta and John Cusack in The Security Guard or whatever it is. And they've just knocked off, and nobody ever sees it again. But they got well paid for it. But then the Friedkin of it all is like, yeah, Friedkin is not necessarily the same force that he was back in the 70s and the 80s, but still one of the great filmmakers. And yeah, just the pedigree of this film, the fact that nobody gives a shit about it, nobody speaks about it at all, given who's involved, is pretty spellbinding, to be honest.
It is, isn't it? It really is. You don't even see it on TV. I never see it like, oh, there it is. It's stumbling. It's not really on the streamers. It's on ITVX, isn't it? Over here,
it is. Yeah, which is a good little service actually. If you're in the UK, so anybody can watch The Hunted for free. So if you've got to this point in the podcast and you haven't seen The Hunted, we are going to spoil it. So if you just fire up your telly or your phone, ITVX app, it is on there. You have to watch it with ads, but completely free to watch. And have at it, and then come back and join us. But because I think if you haven't seen it, it's definitely worth digging into before we 100%. Get into the chat.
It's an hour and a half. What are you doing? Yeah,
absolutely.
Go now.
Go now. Come back.
Go on off your toddle. Go now.
We've had you download. Go.
Yeah. So what about budget and box office then, James?
So given the lack of a cultural footprint that this film has left, it's probably safe to say that it didn't do great at the box office. So the box office for the film was less than its reported production budget of $55 million. The Hunted opened on March 14th, 2003. So back in the 20 years ago, March was a bit of a dumping ground for films that studios didn't really believe in. Now it's like when the summer season starts, but back then it was like, we don't think this is going to be very good, so we're just going to stick it out there when there's little competition and see if it can do anything. So in North America, it grossed $13.48 million during its opening weekend, and it went on to gross just over 34 million in North America and 11 million internationally, for a worldwide total of 45.5 million against a production budget of 55 million. So that's without marketing. I mean, what I would say is, and I found this on the trivia page, so on IMDb, so it might be absolute bullshit, but apparently Tommy Lee Jones was paid nearly $20 million for this movie.
Good grief.
Right, now I love Tommy Lee Jones. If he's in a movie, I will probably watch it, right?
Yeah.
But he has never been an A-list movie star who will do gangbusters at the box office.
No.
So to pay him $20 million to be the lead of this film, yeah, it's perfect casting, whatever, but who signed that check?
I'm speechless. I had no idea that was... I mean, like, you give $20 million, that is over a third of this film's production budget.
Exactly.
To a star who, he is a movie star, but he's not like...
Yeah.
You'd give that money to Tom Cruise.
Yeah, you and the boys are not gonna, you and the 16-year-old lads are not gonna turn up and go, right, brand new Tommy Lee this weekend, let's go and do it. His most successful movies are always, financially speaking, are always been the ones where he's paired with another movie star, like the Men in Black films, like The Fugitive, like Under Siege.
Absolutely. Maybe this is how this movie could have been marketed better. Because yes, I'm not going to go racing out to the next Tommy Lee Jones picture, but if you'd have said Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro are going to chiv themselves to death in over 90 minutes of hard, fun action, then I'll be like, yeah, but I pretty much want to go see that,
Yeah. It's mad because, it would have been less than $40 million, the production budget on this.
Yeah.
If he'd have scaled back on, just maybe taken $5 million instead. Who's his agent? Who got him that deal? That's incredible work.
It is that, isn't it? Wow, man. So with that in mind, I'm very loath to say it, but this is a double qualifier, I think.
Yeah, this is the way. I mean, the box office underperformance doesn't surprise me, given,
yeah.
apart from, like, our dads at the time, who's really interested in a new Tommy Lee Jones vehicle. But the critical reception has really... Yeah, so I'll let you go ahead with that, Rob, because this is what really took me aback when reading some of these reviews.
Yeah, so, I mean, Metacritic score of 40. But this is where, one of those things that I love, user score of 8.2. So big swing between the two there on Metacritic. But on Rotten Tommies, it's not quite the same. So 29%.
That's what they were calling Tommy Lee Jones after the box office receipts came in.
But while we said that, it was 47% audience. So still very low. Audience wasn't digging it on Rotten Tomatoes at all. But Letterboxd 3.1, which means it's slightly above what we usually get at 2.9, 2.8.
Quite low, yeah.
Yeah. So going into some of the critics, I found that it was like right the way through researching the critical reception to this it was just swinging back and forth constantly. You've got Neil Miner of Common Sense Media saying it's an awful and graphically violent movie. Yeah, I agree with the second bit, but not the first. Yeah. Rex Reed of The Observer said it's ludicrous, plotless, ho-hum tale of lurid confrontation. Do not agree. Chuck O'Leary of Full View Drive-In, he says, just like Walter Hill's Undisputed, William Friedkin's The Hunted plays like a clinic for lean, mean, no-nonsense filmmaking. He enjoyed it. The Sheriff came to town on this one.
Oh, yeah.
And sadly, the Sheriff, although we always respect the Sheriff's opinion, didn't enjoy this one. He said, with an opening and closing voiceover by Johnny Cash, Friedkin tries to frame the action as an Abraham and Isaac story, but the father-son connection isn't strong enough to carry such emotional heft. In The Hunted, we don't see violence as a metaphor, we see violence as violence, and it's just plain boring. Even worse, we watch a filmmaker's vision turn in on itself and shrink until it has no weight or value. It's a grim spectacle. The film contains gruesome violence. I love that sort of warning at the end. Now, flip that around. You've got one of our other favourite critics, Roger Ebert. Ebes came along and gave this 3.5 out of 4.
Oh, bloody hell, he loved it.
He loved it, yeah. The Hunted is a pure and rather inspired example of the one-on-one chase movie. And then we've got mega reactions from people on Letterboxd who I just live for these legendary people. Ads Cantor gave it 1 star, and again it's either 1 or 5. There's very little in between. 1 star from Ads Cantor. Got through maybe half an hour. Unwatchable, terrible shots, no rhythm, very poor performances. I'll give it a 1 to 3. Well, they didn't. Gave it 1 because pretty faces. Was there?
Is he talking about Tommy?
I don't know. Anyway, switching around, we've got Jessica GZ, who put 5 stars, just 2 men in love. And Karina Rose said on Letterboxd, 1 star, tag with guns and knives. Again, that's not selling this movie in a bad way to me. That sounds great. But I very much enjoyed Dylan Moses Griffin on Letterboxd saying 5 stars for The Hunted because I was the intimacy coordinator on the film. So, which probably leans back to Jessica at GZ, who said it was just 2 men in love. So, great job, Dylan Moses Griffin, on your intimacy coordination. So, yeah, a real mixed bag there, but mostly negative rather than positive, which, having seen the film, I'm surprised by.
Yeah. I mean, what I found from looking through the reviews was people were like, "Oh, there's no characterization, there's no development." It's like, well, no, there's not a lot of dialogue, but that's sort of the point. It's characterization through looks and through actions, rather than that's how he's moving the plot forward. Anyway, we will get into it as to why I like it so much, and by the sounds of things, why you like it so much, Rob. But I mean, another thing. If we get into should we get into the film itself?
Yeah, let's go for it. Why not?
Yeah.
Why not?
So, I think another place where the budget clearly went on this movie was the opening prologue in Kosovo.
Yes.
Which it opens with this huge crane shot, right? And it's the war in Kosovo, isn't it? Right? And there's explosions going off in the background, in the foreground. There's hundreds of extras running for their lives. Like, it's huge, right? And bear in mind, this has little to do with the actual main thrust of the action, other than motivation for Benicio del Toro's character Hallam. And his mental state, perhaps, as we go through. But this set piece is absolutely ginormous. And I was, as soon as it rolled up on the screen, I was like, I don't remember it. This bit, all I remember the bit is the moccasins in the woods. And I'm just like, oh, right, well, I mean, it just looked incredible. It's shot by cinematographer Caleb Deschanel, who is the father of Zooey Deschanel and a 6-time Oscar nominee. So those people who saying that he doesn't know how to shoot, you're wrong, basically. He knows exactly what he's doing.
Very wrong. Demonstrably incorrect.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And yeah, I just thought the way that this was lit and everything was lit by these blood orange sort of explosions at night, and Benicio del Toro's character Hallam, he is part of this special ops, black ops team who are going in there to assassinate what turns out to be a genocidal Serbian sort of warlord. Am I right in that at the moment? But they've not got guns, because why would you bring a gun to a huge battle? He's going to sneak in and knife the dude.
Yes. He's, you get first introduced to, Hallam in this scene, don't you? And this scene, do you know what it reminded me of twice? And I do love, like, a haunting opening crawl, which shows why the main characters are so messed up. Two other great examples of this are obviously from this Paris, Universal Soldier.
Absolutely.
It reminded me so much of that in Vietnam.
Slightly different tones, though, I would.
Very different tones, but still lots of appalling things going on.
I mean, just horrendous. Like, these, the soldiers who the Americans have been sent in to assassinate are, like, literally just plugging civilians and children and throwing them into mass graves, aren't they? It's a real sobering opening to what turns out to be like a real tight thriller. It's like, bloody hell, this is hardcore stuff. There's no punches held back at all. Yeah.
And to make this tone shift even more awkward, it reminded me, the whole, this is how badass this person is. It reminded me of the opening of The Marine with John Cena.
One of Friedkin's key touchstones for this picture.
I believe so. Yes. In fact, my little boy is going through a big wrestling phase at the moment, but he can't say John Cena, so he calls him John Senior. Just his dad. Here's John Senior.
He is getting on a bit now, old John.
He is John Senior.
Is it just me, or does John Cena look really weird with hair?
Yeah, uncomfortable. But then again, no.
I know he has to have hair because he's a movie star now. But
yes, yeah. Yeah, one of those. You're used to a certain thing.
Wrestling with floppy hair, like accountant hair. Good.
Do you remember when he announced to the audience that the US government had killed Osama bin Laden? You know, backstage, like, wow, it's pretty serious current events going on out there. Should we let anyone know? Let's get John Cena to do it. I must say, he delivered that speech with genuine aplomb. I enjoyed all of this sequence. It was cool. Well, sorry, not cool what was going on.
No, it was not cool, definitely.
Absolutely not cool. But well shot. You got a serious sense of place and scale of it all, and you were left in no doubt why Benicio del Toro's character Hallam is so traumatized as we go into the next bits of the film. There is no need for discussion scenes on this matter as to why we've laid it all on the line.
Yeah, if you came out of that having not been traumatized by the atrocities that you'd witnessed, but it just really sets the table for just how brutal and up close and personal and painful the violence will be throughout the course of the film, which is. Everybody, it is a very violent film. I'm not going to say otherwise, but only a 15 here in the UK.
Yeah. Was it rated R in America? Or?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have a distinction between 18 and 15 like we do.
Oh, right, okay. Oh, they've got NC-17 though, haven't they?
Yes, they do that, but so they
really
go PG-13 up to R, and then NC-17 is like our equivalent of an 18, but they see it as like a death sentence for a film if it gets an NC-17 because you can't take kids who are under 7. You can take kids who are under 17 into an R-rated film in America, but you can't. But it is literally 17 and over for an NC-17, which is mad. That you can just
that is pretty crazy.
Take your 6-year-old to see The Hunted starring Tommy Lee Jones and Benicio del Toro. Oh, it's scary, Daddy. I'm enjoying it very much, thank you.
Having a great time. We cut away from the horror stuff. And
he's
obviously
got post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes. What's PTS, Daddy? He's very, very proficient at murdering people. Benicio del Toro. And also it appears he's becoming very, very haunted by what he's doing and the things he's seeing.
Yeah.
And it's... it's well played by Del Toro. I think it's well directed.
Yeah. Oh, it's superb. Yeah, and then it juxtaposes beautifully because after he violently murders this horrendous Serbian warlord who's been literally committing genocide on civilians, that he's then given a Silver Star as an act of heroism, and the way that Friedkin portrays his assassination of this warlord. There's nothing heroic about it, really. It's horrendous, the violence. And I think everyone's like, it's very violent. Yeah, because that's obviously the point that he's trying to make with this film, is that we train, or governments train these people to go in and just do the most heinous things. Even though he's the good guy in this, the quote-unquote good guy in this scenario, the way that he murders this guy is just so upsetting and blood-curdling and just horrendous.
Not like The Marine, which makes it look like the coolest thing.
I think that was PG-13, to be fair.
I think it was. But you'd be so right. In fact, I assume after this dictator has been killed, I assume that John Cena announced it to a live audience.
On Raw is War. What was the era called that John Cena was the biggest in? It was like, it had the Attitude Era.
Ruthless Aggression.
Ruthless Aggression.
Yeah.
Which is what Del Toro displays throughout much of this.
Who did you think we would have so many wrestling tie-ins?
John Cena sidebar.
In fact, I don't even know whether John Cena was a thing when The Hunted came out. So
No, maybe just he might have been. I don't know. I'd stopped watching wrestling by then.
yeah, I had.
By that point, I'd kissed a girl. Not dissing anybody who likes wrestling. It's very entertaining.
Oh, dearie me. So we get to Tommy Lee Jones is in the woods.
Oh yeah, he's up in British Columbia, isn't he? And
Yeah.
he's just like, just casually tracking a wolf, like
Yes.
with no weapons. He's not planning on killing this wolf. He's going to be mates with it when he finds it.
Yes. I think I'm going to go on record now, this early in saying I don't think Tommy Lee Jones has ever looked as good as this.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
I think he's in fabulous shape in this movie.
Yeah.
For all the, because you buy everything, actually. I buy that he's a tracker. I buy that he's going through the woods, doing all this stuff. I certainly buy his activities in the fight scenes later on. Activities, sorry. The shiving, all the shiving, that's what I buy. And I thought he looked great. I thought the scenery is so well shot, and I love an introduction to a character like this, where they're doing something a little bit different, out of the ordinary. I'm sure some people will say, "Oh, it's very clumsy. He's rescuing," because the wolf has got a sore leg, hasn't he? Or something
so
like that.
basically they must be, it must be like a reservation of or they're trying to, protect the wolf population or what have you, and he's sort of like a ranger up there, isn't he? And yeah, he sees that a trap has been laid down for this wolf that it's not cricket, and he's not happy about it, basically.
Well, no.
He goes back to the bar where all the trappers and the hunters sort of hang out, and this is how you just know he's a bad MF, even if he's like quite softly spoken. Is he just grabs the trap that he's just taken off the wolf's bloodied paw, sticks it around the guy's neck, and slams his head off the table, and says, "No more of that." To the rest of them, they're all like, "Yep, no problem."
Absolutely outstanding. This was one of the badass moments of all time. I loved it. And again, the way he went about it was very physical, very direct.
Yeah.
You bought it, you all bought it. More wrestling. Sorry.
What I must stress about, Tommy Lee Jones getting $20 million for this movie, it's not because I don't think he's good in this movie. He's clearly done the work. He's fully committed performance. That's more about his market value. If you're looking to make box office money on the back of that, you wouldn't pay $20 million to Tommy Lee Jones. But as an actor, he's second to none, really, especially in this kind of role.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Overpriced, you'd say, in this movie, but that's because of the kind of movie as it is. He himself in this movie is box office. Absolutely.
Maybe if you'd had like Tom Cruise in the Benicio del Toro part or something like that, or then the movie might have stood more of a chance, or Brad Pitt or something like that. He's always better when he's playing off a movie star who's not as good as an actor as him, but more of a magnetic sort of.
That's interesting, yeah.
Screen presence, yeah.
Yeah, Del Toro is obviously an extremely good actor.
Yeah, he's an actor as well, though, isn't it? So you get the sense
is,
that
isn't he? Yeah.
Both out here, we're just going to do some acting. Can one of you be a movie star? Is that possible?
Yeah, because I quite like him. Well, I think he's great in the role, but I quite like this casting because he fits this sort of. He's not just lost it, because there's Rambo First Blood vibes going on here.
Oh,
as well,
yeah.
And he's not just sort of like lost it, but with the way he plays it, you can see why he's lost it or how he's lost it.
Yeah.
That it didn't take that this guy Hallam. You give him, the opportunity, and he's got the chance in him to go bug nuts. And I think that's one of the reasons why I find his character very, very compelling.
Yeah. I read a lot of reviews that didn't like his performance, which I thought was odd. I mean, I think in a lot of films, Del Toro, he will sort of take a chance on a character. He'll give them a strange accent, where they're difficult to understand, or they'll have some sort of quirks. But here, I think he plays it pretty down the line, really, and fairly relatable for a murdering psychopath.
Yeah, I agree with you. And yeah, there's so much more complexities to the character to come as well.
Yeah,
and then so this there is. We cut then to some other hunters in the woods, and at this point, I'm thinking the whole thing is going to be woodland based.
Yes.
But it isn't. So they're in the woods, and these hunter dudes are there, and he murders them horribly.
Yes, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, he's not playing around, is he? And basically, what I like about this film is the ambiguity of the whole thing. Like, he's clearly a deeply paranoid character. He thinks that everybody's out to get him. Because what we later learn is that not the situation in Kosovo where he was rewarded and held up as a war hero, but other Black Ops missions that he's done have potentially gone sideways, and he feels like the government is now out to get him. So what the ambiguous thing I like about this film is these two hunters are out there, and they've got these huge rifles with these really high-tech scopes on them. So are these actual hunters, or are these people who've been sent to take out Del Toro?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it seemed like, because he kept going on about them, like those weapons are not, they're not for hunting. Those weapons, they're they're for all sorts of other stuff. They're far too serious for hunting, and that's why it has sort of triggered off Del Toro into thinking that they were coming for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know actually.
But because it's all Black Ops and off the books work that he does, even if those two men were coming to hunt him essentially and take him out, there'd be no reference to that anyway. And I think that sort of uncertainty within the plot and certain characters' motivations is possibly what annoyed certain audience members or critics. It's like, well, we can't really get a handle on this. Like, is he paranoid? Are they after him?
Oh, and then there's this great scene where it's like, LT, please come back. Just one more case.
Yeah. And he's
Love
like,
that stuff.
And what I like about this film as well is it dispenses with all the nonsense that you'd usually see in a thriller, like The Long Night of the Soul, where he has to go and talk to somebody about whether he should go back or not. He just sits down and goes, oh, this is shit, but I suppose I'm going to have to do it, basically. And then the next scene, Bosch is on the chopper, and he's going into the woods in Portland. It's like, it just cut out about 4 minutes of screen time that would have been in any other thriller, essentially.
It's so good, isn't it? I love that economy of screenwriting, of direction as well. We've had the thing. He knows it's one of his boys as well, because LT, Tommy Lee Jones's character, is like the most sensational trainer of killing it seems ever, or something.
Yeah, he's like the Pep Guardiola of murdering people with knives, like.
Yes, and he can spot his own, a protege of his, a Myloff as well, it seems.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which means that one of his boys has gone rogue, and he's got to go and sort it out.
Yeah.
And I loved all this. Then he gets to the crime scene, and then he's just like, get everyone out of here. This is an absolute joke. Get everyone out of here. And then he just wanders off in the woods in his moccasins with a knife.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant.
Like, I'm not pissing about here. Come on, don't need all this stuff. Like, Connie Nielsen is in this movie. Bit of a thankless role, I would say. It's like...
Yeah, because she comes across as sort of like... And it's not her at all. It's just that the character comes across as sort of like a barely competent bystander.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I do wonder if this script was always as tight as this, or if Friedkin in the edit has just gone... No, we're stripping all of this out. We're stripping it all out, basically. All I want is basically everything. Storytelling, characterization, themes, character development. I want it all through action. I don't want people stood around talking at all. I just want it to go, basically. And then because, she'd made Gladiator a couple of years before. She was in Gladiator a couple of years before this. She was in Gladiator, wasn't she, Connie Nielsen?
She was, yeah.
I think so, yeah.
Yes.
And she's a well-known actor. There must have been more on the page, is what I'm saying, for her to sign up on.
Yeah. Yeah, I can definitely see that, man.
Unless she got 20 million as well.
You get 20 million and you get 20 million. Yeah, you're right. And like the way he comes into the scene, I mean, I know it's the character and everything like that, but yeah, he does he has to take complete control of it.
Yeah, he does, yeah.
Which he jolly does.
He's the best.
He's the best.
He's the best.
I just love it. And he's off at the races, scurrying about, crawling on the floor. None of this walking, just what's crawl everywhere. It's outstanding. They have these shoes that have no treads on them. So
they're the worst shoes I've ever seen. They might be practical, but oh my days, they're the ugliest shoes I've ever seen in my life.
I want to get 700 pairs. They look so comfortable.
Oh yeah, I bet they get the job done, to be fair. It's like, yeah, but no tread on them. Are they just like weird moccasins? They look a bit stupid, don't they? When you don't notice them, but when you actually see them fighting and they're both wearing them, it's just like, two clowns in bad shoes fighting each other.
It's true. Sadly, it is true.
And basically, Tommy Lee Jones finds Benicio del Toro's little grief hovel underneath a tree, like bloody Winnie the Pooh or whatever.
Sad Winnie the Pooh. Sad, murderous Winnie the Pooh.
And then, as is the want in this film, and we'll cut into the chase, they get in a big knife fight, and it's brilliant. It's so good. It's mostly the guys as well. You can tell it's mostly them. They've done really good fight choreography. It's not overly fast as well, so like it feels more realistic. Like it's not like Tommy Lee Jones suddenly becomes Neo from the Matrix. It's like, and you feel the weight of the blows, and it's like martial arts and trying. Because he doesn't actually have a knife, does he? Or does it get knocked out of his hand? I'm not sure.
I can't remember. I mean, there are knives, and then knives disappear, and then they come back, and I don't know. And then Benicio del Toro makes one, which is incredible later on. But no, I know just what you mean. It crunches. It looks real. You can see what's going on. You can follow the fights. Goodness me, which. With this style of fighting as well, which is very close quarters, and deliberate, parry, block, strike, defense, all this kind of stuff. It needs to be. You need to be able to see what's going on. You could get lost so easily with this if there was some cocky camera work. You know what I mean? Like if someone was trying to, Paul Greengrass, this one, thank you. Slight diss there, which I didn't mean to do.
I know. What's he ever done to you? It's not his fault, is it? That Bond ripped it off badly.
Very true. Yep. You knew that's where the root of the...
Yeah, but that's got nothing to do with Paul Greengrass. He doesn't even like Bond.
Right. Neither do I now.
Exactly.
Such a baby, I'm sorry.
So much in common.
The fight is just excellent. Do you think sometimes it's quite soft focused, the film, isn't it?
Yeah, because it's up close, and obviously it's in foliage, isn't it? A lot of the time. And what I find funniest about this is they set it in Portland because he wanted the forest to be damp and he wanted it to be raining. There was no rain the entire time they shot in Portland for 4 months. But it still feels damp and close, doesn't it? And
100%.
Earthy.
People, whatever quibbles there are with the film, for me, it's not about the scenery or the setting or anything like that. So, it's not going to be the one that upset me. what I can't. Why can't I remember what happens now? He beats him.
Yeah, no. What happens?
Oh,
is
it's a trank
he
dart.
He was made to take a radio with him against his will, and they'd put a tracker in the radio, and then the FBI come out of because basically Del Toro's got the upper hand on him because he's not match fit at this point. Tommy Lee Jones, chasing wolves and fighting a traumatized psycho in the woods is not the same thing. And yeah, they trank him, don't they, with a dart, and then they arrest him. You're like, right, bosh, back to British Columbia we go. My work here is done.
I mean,
if I was Tommy Lee Jones, I wouldn't have even gone back to FBI headquarters. I'd have gone straight to the airport.
Yeah, I don't know what does he need to do.
I'm done. I've done my bit. Found him. You arrested him. Done.
Yeah. But he had to see it through.
Yeah. Well, kind of, because he goes back to FBI headquarters and he seems to be getting along with Connie Nielsen's character, and they're chatting and whatnot. He tells her how much he hates flying, and he's very fidgety when he's indoors. You get the sense that he's not comfortable at all. It's a really it's a really nice character beat. I think there's a lot of those little details in the performances if you're looking for them, and it's just like, I can't be indoors here. I need to be outdoors. That's where I am. That's where I feel like my natural self, essentially.
I love all that. Another character bit of backstory that I really liked as well, that he never served himself.
Oh no, no.
Jones was only the teacher. Which I loved that. And he looks I think he looks haunted. I think the character is haunted by the fact that he's taught so many people to kill. Yeah. And he regrets it, I feel.
He does, yeah. I think so, for sure. But again, it's all in the eyes, isn't it? It's all there.
Yeah.
I think... I don't know. Again, when you read criticism nowadays, one of the big things that comes up with thrillers and dramas and things like that, it's like, it over-explains everything, and it doesn't treat the audience like grown-ups. Like, this film literally treats you like an adult, and like you might have seen a thriller before, essentially, and just goes, right, it's all there. It's all there in the eyes of the characters and in the actions of the characters. So, just get on board and just come with us now on this hunt, essentially.
Yeah, and I don't know why you wouldn't get on board with this.
Exactly, yeah.
There's brilliant, I love Hallam's interview scenes because he's sort of like remorselessly traumatized, isn't he? I mean, he's like I think the impression I got was that he knows he's a product of this big society that he's a part of, and the big machines and the wheels that they're all part of. And look, I'm just the pointy end of the stick to keep you guys safe, and that's it. And if this has happened, this has happened.
Exactly,
and I love that. And these, like you say about grown-up stuff. I mean, this is like, I think again, I'm going to go back to the Marine, but in the Marine, there is literally a moment where John Cena can't get to who's on the other side, so he bashes through a wall to get to them. And this is just in that opening, when he's supposed to be a really, key soldier for the US Marine.
I don't think I've seen the Marine as many times as you have, Rob, to be
I would dare say that's true. Whereas these are grown-up characters with grown-up, mature themes and mature character quirks, real character quirks.
Yeah.
And portrayed in a way that I think, this is why Friedkin is so good.
Absolutely, yeah. And they sort of reflect back the darkness of the world that they operate within.
Yeah. Absolutely right. And they reflect each other in so many ways as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Brilliant escape scene.
So basically they're like, oh, we're going to arrest him, and then these three Black Ops douchebags turn up, and they may as well just have dead meat tattooed on their forehead. And just basically, no, you're not going to be arresting him because he doesn't exist. Essentially, as far as everybody's concerned, he was killed in action many, many years ago. He works for us. We'll be taking it from here. So they put him in a prison transport, and it'll go swimmingly for Benicio because he gets the drop on them somehow. And murders all three of them.
He does. He just wantonly murders everyone, and then puts the crummy suit of one of the people he's just killed on.
Yeah.
And crawls out of the back of the wreckage like, "Oh God, my friends are in there," or something like that. Brilliant! It's so fun to watch this.
And then scurries off to the woods like a badger who's just just been through the bins and found pay dirt.
A Cleveland steamer. You're so right. He goes to ground again, and he's off. And this is I really loved how no nonsense this ending was. It was just right. Here we go. He's gone. Jones, you are going to go and get him back. And
it's like, what I do love about this is one of the contrivances. He's sat in the departure lounge at the airport. He ruins a game of hide and seek just for the fun of it.
Casual.
Yeah, he's he's never off. He's always looking for things. And
Killjoy, like we said.
It's literally happened 20 minutes ago. This prison break, and it's on the news immediately. They've got all the anchors out there and everything, and he's like, "Oh no, got to go back to work." And then the funniest thing is he pulls up to this massive crime scene in a cab, right.
Oh yeah.
The tickets.
Superb. Is this where they end up jumping off a bridge?
No, that's after. So basically, what happens is that Benicio del Toro he goes to ground, but not really, because he basically hides out with his ex-girlfriend and her kid, even though who seem way too close, because he was apparently only with them for 2 or 3 months, and then he disappeared to go and do a job, and now he's back again. This is the second time he's been in their lives, and anyway, he's sort of hanging out there, and then Tommy Lee Jones and Connie Nielsen, they get the scent, essentially, and they go to investigate in there. And it's not we turn up and he's not there, and then, we turn up again. Oh, no, he's there. Right, and then this huge chase across the whole of Portland, essentially, and we're going above ground. There's a car chase, which is always great to see in a Friedkin movie.
Yeah.
And then in the sewers, where Benicio is just shiving FBI agents there's no tomorrow. What I will say about this is none of these deaths matter, because we've had no characterization from these supporting players at all. They're just archetypes. They're just FBI archetypes, and it's Connie Nielsen's upset because her partner gets killed, and we're like, she was in the way. You know?
Yeah. It's her own fault.
I don't even know his name. He's down.
And it keeps ramping. It's a really good chase, actually.
Yeah, it's across the whole city, and it's this urban jungle, essentially, as opposed to woodland areas. And he's getting on streetcars, and he's running across the top of bridges. He's running, and Tommy Lee Jones is just always just one step behind him. He's like, damn, trained this guy far too well.
Yeah. Yeah, if only I'd made a few errors with this guy.
If only I was worse at my job. Curse you.
And there's this huge leap of faith into the water, isn't there? And Jones is... Hallam's gone. And he's off. And this is where he sort of goes back to basics, and he sort of preps himself for war. Emerges in some sort of waterfall tributary area, and starts fashioning new items to stab people with.
Oh, it goes full scrap heap challenge, doesn't it?
It does, doesn't it? Yeah. He becomes a blacksmith on the side of this waterfall. I loved it. It's great.
He's got an old bumper, and I can't remember what he used to start a fire or whatever, but he's full-on blacksmithing next to a waterfall.
It's cool.
Yeah.
And they're hunting for him.
Tommy Lee Jones is just casually carving a knife out of some stone that he's found on a dirt track.
Just
this'll do.
Yeah.
Could have just taken a bit off his craggy old face and just started Perhaps some ninja stars. It's like, imagine him how he just cannot sanction this Benicio del Toro based buffoonery now that's been going on. He's like, I am going to make myself a stone knife and I am going to sort this geezer out once and for all.
I mean, FBI, you're useless. Honestly, I left you to do a job. I was going home and look what you've done. and then when they confront each other, I mean, it's electric again. Actually, I think it's another fabulous confrontation, and they're really there is no quarter given to either of them. They're just trying to murder each other horribly. And
because you have seen in a flashback all of the techniques that he's taught Benicio del Toro and the other recruits, and they are brutal ways of taking people out with knives, and they're all utilised in this final fight, basically.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's this one particular sort of like 4 or 5 move combo that he keeps doing, and it looks like it's just an immediate disemboweling. That's really what it looks like. Just so do this, do it again, and if you want to see the guts, do this. It's kind of like, oh dear, and they're just doing it to each other constantly. Yeah, but it's just
my favourite one is one
so good.
Yeah, is when Tommy Lee Jones gets hoisted by his own petard. So he uses the knife to go down Benicio del Toro's arm, like opening his arm up completely, and his arm's like dead by his side, and then he just sort of. He's like got blood pooling in the palm of his hand, and he just sort of flicks his useless arm to that and flicks blood across Tommy Lee Jones' craggy features. And he's like, Superb. Oh, Jesus, he's got me again.
I thought it was a great image, that as well. You know? And there's, I think, like, again, Del Toro, you expect him to physically be very accomplished. But honestly, I think Jones is such a match for him. Here,
absolutely.
I think this is his greatest physical performance for me, by a long way actually. And it's no mean feat this to learn these moves and do all this. And mate, you know what? I'm beginning to think maybe he was worth 20 million.
I mean, I'm not saying he didn't put the work in. It's just
no.
Neither of us are
saying. I think what we're just saying is that 20 million is an absurd price to be paying someone for this kind of movie.
For Tommy Lee Jones.
When the budget itself is only 55. Like, you can't be giving nearly 50% of the budget to Tommy Lee Jones. I mean, it's like an absurd football transfer. He did all right. It was good, but
just like it's like he's had a good World Cup and you've brought him in for a world record fee. It's like, dear me.
Oh dear.
But I just love that this is like 2 Academy Award winners just absolutely going to town on each other. There's no thesping going on. It's all physical. It's all physicality. And a lot of people have sort of said, this is a bit of a cross between First Blood and The Fugitive, which also Tommy Lee Jones was in, and is a great movie. And I see that, but it's just like with all of the Hollywood polish sort of taken out of it and just drilled down to its elemental.
Absolutely right, No, I totally agree. It must have been hard, but I would imagine at the same time must have been quite fun doing all this.
Oh, yeah. You just got mad Billy Friedkin behind you. There, stab him again.
Another take. Do it again. Disembowel him again. And eventually Jones just gets the better of the younger man.
He does, stabs him with his own scrap heap challenge knife.
It's great. And then we're as far as I remember, it's pretty immediately credits roll, isn't it?
He goes back to British Columbia, and it turns out throughout the film, Del Toro's been saying, he's acting a bit like Stan from the Eminem song, basically. I wrote you LT, but you still ain't calling. I left my home phone and my pager at the bar. If Tommy Lee Jones had just picked up a bloody pen, this whole thing could have...
This never would have happened.
And
see your letters.
And the final thing is does he put the letters into the fire?
He might do. I I can't quite remember. I just remember by this
Yes.
point being utterly thrilled by what I had seen.
Yeah, and it's like what you said, him coming to terms with, Hallam is one of his students. How many other of these people are out there that he is responsible for?
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's
haunting and it's harrowing.
It is. And it's grown-up filmmaking. I know people don't
and no
think
wonder
it is,
he's
but it is.
just lives up in British Columbia tracking wolves with no friends, essentially.
So they can fix their paws or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the movie finishes. Very soon after. And,
it's like 89 minutes on the dot that the credits roll. It's like...
How gorgeous is that, really?
That was The Hunted. Now get the fuck out of here. That's freaking
Like, when it was on in theatres, like, honestly, we could squeeze 2 of these in next to an Avengers movie. Like, quick, let's get our money's worth here.
Yeah. It's like,
if only more people went to see it. So what's your favourite bit, then, man?
I mean, I think it's hard to look beyond the 2 knife fights just from a pure choreography standpoint and the brutality and how long they must have taken to shoot each of those sequences, and the unbelievable chase across Portland as well is just unreal. But what I'm going to go for is a little character beat. So Tommy Lee Jones mentions that he doesn't like flying, and we see this again rather than before he tells us, in that when he lands at the crime scene with the FBI, the first thing he does is like sprints across the the grass and starts hurling all over the place.
It's superb, isn't it?
Yeah, and
it's like very unedifying. Like
it was Jim Carrey-esque. He won't enjoy that.
He won't, will he?
That comparison, but it was very over the top hurling, and I enjoyed it because not only did it look really funny, but it juxtaposes really well with the day. He's like, "Oh, I can't go in a chopper," but then he'll put himself in willingly just go into the woods to track this murderer who could be hiding anywhere, and he's not bothered about that. But in a short jaunt in a helicopter, and he's all over the shop. And it's just a really vulnerable moment to help ground his character, and make him relatable, even though he is like the world's best tracker.
Yeah, I love that, actually. Small things with character, big things with character, all very interesting. You need it all. If you're going to create compelling characters, you need all that gamut. And that, you're right, that is a really great beat. I'm going to pick another Tommy Lee Jones moment for this, and I know we've talked about it, but the manner in which he crashes the guy's head who's who's been using illegal traps on wolves. The way he walks in and puts this thing round his neck and just obliterates this fella, and then, like you said, points at the other. It's like, that's enough of that.
Yeah. The line is literally, "No more snares on wolves, guys."
That's brilliant.
Yeah, no more snares on wolves, guys.
Brilliant. After you've maimed someone big time. Oh, that bar looked amazing. Desperate to go there.
Oh, very cosy.
Oh, yeah. Well, we could go there, after
we go hunting Bigfoot.
When we're... Yeah, let's go there. Do you do Bigfoot burgers here? With that questionable meat. So, I mean, for your reconsideration then, I mean, I'll go first because you picked it, James. Yeah. Yes, 89 minutes. It's free to air at the moment in the UK. It's a ballistics weapons grade filmmaker on, for me, really excellent pared down form. He's taken. I totally agree with what Roger Ebert said about the movie, about it being extremely like an inspired take on this kind of movie.
Yeah.
Because it's, there are loads and loads of mano a mano movies out there, but it takes a special kind of filmmaker to make it this interesting, this different. It is different, the relationship between the two is very different to stuff I've heard before. Yes, I know there'll be people saying, like, yeah, but it's the guy you trained, the bad guy, and all that kind of stuff. It's not like that. It really isn't like that. The subtext of the two characters makes sure it's not. It's very hard hitting. It makes social commentary as well at the same time. So there's a message to go with the movie. It's lush to look at, and it's 89 minutes of two movie stars trying to knife each other into the next dimension. And it's dead watchable and exciting. Go and watch it. And yeah, of course, for your reconsideration. Great pick, James. I absolutely loved it.
Oh, brilliant. No, I'm glad to hear that. So, yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of what you said. So it's just a stripped back, brutally violent thriller that is not here to fuck around. Friedkin assumes that the audience has probably seen a thriller before, so dispenses with the genre pageantry in service of quite literally cutting to the chase. Effectively leaving backstory, characterization and emotionality to be conveyed solely through the actions and haunted eyes of his Academy Award-winning leads. Obviously, it's not the same caliber of French Connection, The Exorcist or Sorcerer, but The Hunted belongs on the rung just below with the likes of To Live and Die in LA. Everyone should watch it, and as we've mentioned numerous times, you can stream it for free on ITVX right now, and I would heartily recommend that you do that.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, please go and enjoy it, folks, because, I mean, again, I think we're on such a strong run of interesting, unloved films at the minute.
Yeah, for sure,
and this just adds to that rather wonderful canon at the moment. Thanks, James. I really enjoyed that.
Oh, my pleasure.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for listening, everyone. Hit us up on the Twitters, not X, obviously. Instagram, we've got an email address kicking around here somewhere, which we barely use. reconsiderpod@gmail.com. And give us your 5 stars on the subscription service of your choice. Say goodbye, James.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Sorry, it feels a bit direct, that. Say goodbye, James.
I'm just on my way back to British Columbia just to think about all the harrowing things I've done in the past.
With John Cena. Now that would have been it. The Marine versus Hallam versus LT triple threat.
Tables, ladders and chairs.
In the woods, all in moccasins.
Get Vince on the phone.